2 overall. It is Mooner from China taking on Lojom from South Korea. My name is Cora Georgiou, and joining me to finish off this tournament, we have the wild expert himself, Dane, back on the desk again. A little bittersweet that now this is our last set together for the year, Dane, but are you excited to finish things out strong?
Yeah, I'm really surprised. The unconventional decks have made it to the end as well with Mooner's kind of lineup. And yeah, Lojom's aggro, anti-aggro decks, is that, would you say that's
anti-aggro aggro decks? So it's like aggro decks that beat up on other more traditional aggro decks. A couple tech choices here and there that try to skew those matchups for him. Yeah,
so respectable showing for Lojom. He's built it pretty smart. He's guessed what the tournament meta is going to be like with kind of aggro decks, including quite a lot of pirate stuff. And it's showing. His performance has been excellent through to the final. And then we got Mooner's kind of control-esque combo, more combo-oriented, I would say. So super excited to see how these are going to match up together.
It does warm my heart that the only player that brought Control Warriors in the finals.
Yeah, banned every game.
Oh, it's beautiful. He knew it would be banned every game. He brought it to draw out that ban specifically. But then, just bringing a big priest that has Malagos and Prophet Velen in it, and like a spell damage sort of standard style of Big Priest instead of Wild Big Priest with Ragnaros and with Obsidian Statue. That's a really unusual choice. And then, of course, Mechathune Warlock. But it's a really interestingly built Mechathune Warlock with the Void Callers and the sack packs to pull the Void Lords. He's got Doom in there. It is more anti-aggressive than I initially thought it would be, and actually ended up helping him win the series earlier on today. So yeah, things have been looking very good for Mooner in an aggressive tournament, which this absolutely has been.
Yeah, I underestimated it. I mean, when you look at it again, it's like the old kind of Demon Lock, or not, kind of like Demon Lock package, but refined down, and with a combo piece at the end, obviously to potentially counter a control deck. Unfortunately, not many people brought a control deck, but the anti-aggro aspect of it has been doing really well.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're for sure going to see that in play. The Warrior banned away for Mooner, of course, and the Even Shaman for Lojom banned away, because that is probably the deck that just sustains the best against the more controlling or combo lists from Mooner. So that does make sense. But then Mooner is left with that Priest deck, of course, which can be quite fragile when it comes to aggressive decks. If you don't get Barnes on 4, if you don't have the right removal, sometimes you're dead before you even get the ability to play Light Bomb or Psychic Scream. And then he just has an Odd Paladin, which Odd Paladin has just been the most consistent deck, I would say, today. It wins the matchups it's supposed to win. It actually hasn't gone up against that many matchups that it's supposed to lose, honestly. Maybe the Mirror, this Warlock deck from Mooner, is maybe one of the only decks that actually has had a solid performance against Odd Paladin today, because Odd Paladin just beats up other aggro decks, and that's pretty much all that anybody has brought here. But I do think that Mooner definitely just, maybe he didn't necessarily have a read on the tournament. I think he went for a more well-balanced lineup, which is not necessarily something that you would find in Conquest. It's more so a last hero standing strategy.
It could be quite risky for him.
Yeah, usually you want to try and target one style of play in Conquest and try to really pick on that. But for Mooner, it's just, he just wanted to bring a little bit of everything. I think we're seeing more so comfort picks for him and decks that he just really loves playing with. And he said, specifically, he did not sleep at the end of January in order to be able to barely make the qualification for this tournament.
He said he
worked hard.
He hit rank 1 at the end of the season, I believe.
That is incredibly impressive, and all while he is in school to become a pilot.
Yeah.
So already a pretty accomplished guy, and we're going to see his Warlock deck take center stage here up against the Aggro Druid from Lojom, a deck that we've now seen 2 other times. It has gotten its wins, but this could be a much more difficult scenario. This Warlock from Mooner is, of course, running 2 copies of Defile, Mistress of Mixtures, Mortal Coil, Kobold Librarian, Amethyst Spellstones, big taunt minions. It could be tough for Lojom to be able to actually build the board that he needs to win this game.
Yep, and Mooner actually got the perfect hand as well. He hasn't replaced any of his cards. He's kept hold of Mortal Coil. Obviously, that does well against any kind of early aggro cards.
And that's the 3rd game in a row that Lojom has drawn patches.
Oh, man.
At some point, you just need to maybe give up on it.
He's been so unlucky with his top, like, certain top decks in parts of the game. He with like card draw mechanics and patches draws. He has had some pretty awful early game top decks, but his decks have carried him through because he's targeted correctly. But with this, that opening hand from Muna is so good. Like, Sense Demons will guarantee pull a Void Lord now. So he's got a very high chance of just on turn 4 being able to get that huge taunt wall up.
Yeah, is it only the 4 demons in the deck total?
Yeah.
2 Void Callers and 2 Void Lords, as well as Bloodweaver Gul'dan. So if he sends demons on 3, it'll either pull 1 Void Caller and a Void Lord, or 2 Void Lords. And then you go Void Caller Sack Pack on 4, pull out that Void Lord. And how in the world does Lojom get past that? He is running 1 copy of Ironbeak Owl. So that's how. He's
got to use that. And great read here, because he's got the second. Well, not a great read, but he's got the second Savage Roar in hand, so he just wants to pump that damage in now. And this actually could be over if he doesn't hit this. If he doesn't hit this now on the 50-50.
It could hit the Void Caller, and he doesn't have a second sack back.
Oh,
it did hit the Void Caller. That's just game.
Is that enough there? Yeah.
No, it's 14 damage.
It's the classic Savage Roar.
1 damage off.
It's the classic Force of Nature Savage number.
No. So close. Okay, he can Evolving Spores and hit +3,
yes.
and then that would be lethal.
Would he lose the... Yeah. Yeah, that's a good... Not there, no.
Ooh,
Poison might be quite good. If he suspects a Void Lord... Well, he has to suspect the Void Lords in hand, because he sends demons.
What if he... So if he goes for Poisonous, there's going to be a Void Lord. If he goes for +1/+1, then the Void Caller can trade in and Mortal Coil. If he goes for Liquid Membrane...
He might have to go for Liquid Membrane if that's the case.
Then how does the Void Caller kill itself?
Yeah.
In which case, maybe it would have just been better for him to Savage Roar and set Mooner to 1, and then try to Hero Power for the win on the next turn.
Yeah. If he thinks... Well, yeah, because then he wouldn't be able to trade in into the...
Really smart.
Yeah.
Really, really smart there. He knows there's the Void Lord in hand, and he wants to prevent this Void Caller from being able to pull it. And
yeah, that's from way out of range there.
Lojom wears his heart on his sleeve when he's playing. Really authentic reactions, but also you know that turn really hurt.
Yeah, he was 1 mana off lethal as well because of the if he could have hero powered along with the Savage Roar.
He had 14 with 3 2-attack minions on the board.
Yeah, and I think it's about 30% chance to get the +3 attack from Spores approximately, because I think with an adapt card it's similar odds to Kazakus, is it? I'm trying to think of the amount of adapts on there.
I'm gonna work it out 1 sec.
So yeah, I kind of like the adapt play to try finish the game off straight away rather than dropping them to 1. But yeah, the heal bot there was a bit devastating. Because next turn he's going to be able to trade in the Void Caller and pull the Lord out, and that will probably seal the deal. I was so sure he had that there.
Are there 8 adaptations? I'm counting 8.
There's Poison, +1/+1, +3, +3 health, +3 attack.
No target.
Yeah, can't be
Divine
targeted.
Shield, Wind Fury, Taunt.
Yeah.
I'm counting 8. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, slightly better than a 33% chance. Like 37.
Oh, I have no idea.
I don't know.
I gotta see in maths.
I just guessed. Okay, this game's not over just yet, but Mooner is going to be able to pull out the Void Lord guaranteed on this turn, and that very likely will wrap things up. Yeah,
so the coil doesn't get... The order doesn't really matter there because he's only got another Void Lord in the deck there. He wouldn't pull another demon from that draw. I guess if he hit Owl, potentially he wouldn't be able to lethal him off the next turn, but he could develop a little bit more aboard.
Owl plus Savage Roar here would be still a little bit short. That's not an Owl.
No.
So...
Yeah, and you can't...
I mean, I guess you still fight it out. He could have played the Living Mana this turn, but then that just gets countered too easily by well, any number of things.
Yeah, I think you could do. Yeah, you could probably just hit Defile if you trade correctly there.
Yeah, Defile, Godfrey. Heck, Mooner could Cataclysm if he wanted to.
Yeah. It's not looking. Yeah, it's not looking too great. He does need Owl to have any kind of chance. I mean, Muna will realise that, so he does have to be a little bit careful of his health total.
I mean, as long as he clears up this board,
that's true. Yeah.
Then he doesn't have to worry about anything. There's no charge minions.
He gets
for
the
Lojom.
+4. Yeah.
That was a mistake.
Oh, he could
Was
have
it a
traded.
mistake?
He could have traded the 2 and 3 into the 3/5.
Yeah.
Yeah, not a
bit
big
of-
deal. Yeah.
A little
Ching's nerves.
problem there, but not going to be game. Not going to cost him the game by
No.
any means. All right, so there's going to be a living mana for 6. Now he only has 2 mana going into next turn, which means he can't play Savage Roar even if he wanted to. Can't play Owl even if he wanted to, but he's hoping that this will at least allow him to get through the Void Lord.
Yeah.
It will not.
Nope.
I mean, the Void Lord's going to die.
Yeah, he'll have just a bunch of... Oh, he's going for Twist.
Yeah, he wants those Void Callers to stick
Yeah,
around.
that's
If
true,
he were
yeah.
to Godfrey or to File, then
It'd be...
the Void Walkers would be damaged or dead.
I suppose that, yeah, with the likes of Twist and Never in this matchup, you're not going to get a better size board than that.
Yeah. And again, only 1 living mana in the deck for Lojom, so that was his last big single card that builds a board.
Yeah.
And with that second Void Lord,
Yeah.
that's just about it, folks.
Yeah, just to add salt into the wound after that, it's Blood Reaver Gul'dan on 10, so yeah. I mean, I guess this matchup with Muna's hand though, it was going to be really difficult from the start for Lojom to basically bash through all those
He was
taunts.
very close.
Yeah,
He was 1 damage or 1 mana off with that second Savage Roar, and had he hit +3 attack off of the Evolving Spores, he would have actually just had lethal. It would have been the exact 15 on board.
yeah,
So very, very close, and with a start like that from Mooner with Sense Demons into Void Caller Sack Pack for what was a 50% Void Lord hit. Like, he needed Mooner to miss on the Void Lord hit, and then he needed to be able to take advantage of it.
Yeah.
And he was almost able to. So that's a matchup that I suppose Lojom's not too upset about losing, because it means that the Warlock is now off the table for Mooner. And my friend, the audio cord, and I are going to have some words again after this, because it's not behaving, Dane.
no, mine's a bit of a pain as well. What can you do? Technology.
Going to show up next time with some of those like binder clips.
Oh yeah, you can clear it.
Getting those. Get some of those binder clips. All right, so Warlock's out of the mix now. That leaves the Druid and the Paladin and Rogue for Lojom, and then Mooner. His Warrior, of course, was banned. His Warlock now has won a game, so he has to win with his Odd Paladin and his Big Priest, which he's been having really good fortune with. He's hit that Barnes right on turn 4, I think 2 out of his 3 games now.
Yep. The third game, or the first game, he actually didn't find the right amount of card generation like Barnes or Shadow Essence, and it did show actually in that one game where he was kind of run down by, I think it was Even Shaman. I can't remember what.
Yeah,
specific
I
deck
think
it was.
Dr. J was playing Even Shaman.
So yeah, maybe again, we'll see.
It's possible. And he's playing this version of Big Priest over the Ragnaros Obsidian Statue traditional wild version because he just simply prefers playing this deck.
Yeah.
He likes this one better, and nobody was going to tell him that he couldn't bring the deck that he liked. So he is going to break out this Paladin deck first, though, try to get win number 2 on the board here against the Druid. Good news for Lojom, because the Patches was in his opening mulligan. He's now not going to get it in his mulligan, but he still can draw it on turn 1.
It, yeah. Let's see how if he's that unlucky. No, he's okay.
Okay, not quite yet.
Yeah, he's okay.
We'll see. But this is still not a great matchup for Lojom. The Paladin just does a really good job of fighting on board against the Druid, and the Paladin certainly has the ability to go longer than the Druid does. Now, Mooner is running Pirates. If Lojom can find Galaka Crawler, he can take advantage of that a little bit. But this was quite a turn 1 for Mooner. He did not draw his Patches.
Yeah, and that's that opener from Mooner's really strong. Like, I suppose with you have to just like hedge your bets really when you play your turn 1 pirate if you're gonna get crawled or not. So he'll be loving the fact that when Lojom plays Flame Elemental or the Raven. Just not seeing that Glocker Crawl is going to be a big relief, because it's like at that point then you kind of feel, you kind of feel like you can kind of you'll definitely like outlast this type of mid-range. I always say Token Druid's kind of like mid-range because it always wants to like trade up and develop a large board and then go for like that swing turn. But yeah, just the hero power is just too much for it.
Too tempting. Obviously playing the Flame Elemental and the Enchanted Raven here would have been really strong on board, but make use of the hero power while you can if you're the Druid, because the Paladin hero power is just going to outclass you.
I wonder if he just saved the Raven so he could Mark of Yasiraj it.
Possible.
Yeah.
Or he's just going to go full minions on board here, but this is so fragile. I mean, Mooner just has to clear this board, and then suddenly Lojom has a hand full of buffs.
Yeah.
And Lojom is he cannot catch a break with this deck. That's going to be clear onto all of the important minions, at least, on Lojom's side of the board. Now he's left with a bunch of buffs that he can't really work with. Mark of Yasiraj, you need it to draw cards in this deck, because this deck draws no cards until you hit Jeeves. So, I mean, Lojom's very likely going to have to double mark here just to have something with presence on the board.
Yeah.
But then he's not drawing cards off of him.
You mean you could mark and then hero power and save one, but yeah, then you just left with the 3/1 patches. But
this is weak to muster for battle now.
Yeah, if you top decks muster, that could be a bit of an issue. But the way it stands, if that's pretty bad actually for him. I think it's just going to be a flat hero power.
Okay. So maybe a little bit of breathing room now for Lojom, and he is going to get rewarded for holding on to that second mark with the Dire Mold draw off the top there.
Yeah, I did like that read from Lojom, just using the hero power like you said before, just to try and gain as much value out of your cards as you can, and yeah, just respecting the recruits there and trading the 3/1. I guess with Lojom, I think his thinking is if he just wants to basically try control the board for as much as possible and then just go for like a big savage draw play. But against our Paladin is so difficult.
Yeah, he's quite a ways away from having the board that he needs to be able to do that.
Yeah, and it's a case of hitting with chip damage against Mooner probably wouldn't work either. Because then you're leaving that minion on board, and then there's potential for him to, use Quartermaster or another buff target.
This would have been a really nice turn to maybe Direwolf Alpha and Evolving Spores, but the fact that Lojom can... Oh, he's actually going to play the minions without playing Evolving Spores. I was even looking at potentially holding all of the minions to play with Evolving Spores on the next turn, but he just thinks that he can't be that greedy in this matchup. He needs to just throw these minions out there to contest.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, this is it now. He has to top deck Jeeves soon, or a way to draw a couple more cards, because now with that buff going onto board for the Paladin, this is where things start to snowball, and the 1/1 recruits just start taking too many good trades.
Does find Poisonous.
Oh, is that one?
No, sorry, he finds the
plant? I forgot
Living Spores, I think it's called. So Death Rattle into the 2/1/1.
It's probably the best one he could have.
Plants.
Yeah, that's probably the best one he could have hoped for in that situation.
Yeah, because then he can even Savage Roar to trade up with them, or he can just use them to trade off the recruits. But none of this is going to get him ahead. None of this is going to beat 2 recruits for 2 mana every turn. And Mooner just actually can start to push face here.
Yep.
He's not worried about 3 power on the board every turn. He's at 30, and double Savage Roar is not going to end the game. That's game 2. Over to Mooner, the Paladin demolishing the aggro Druid as well. And now Lojom's played this Druid twice already. Gotten beaten very quickly in both games. And that leaves now Mooner with just the Priest deck.
Yep.
And this Priest deck does have a lot of removal. We're looking at 2 Spirit Lashes, a Shadow Word Pain, Shadow Visions to find additional removal, Excavated Evil, Mass Hysteria, Light Bomb, Psychic Scream. It's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, as long as they transition into around turn 4, turn 5, and they've got a decent amount of health, then you're going to struggle to try chip away, especially with these kind of like token-esque kind of mid-range decks that he's brought.
Yeah.
If I was Lojom in this case, I'd probably go with Rogue.
Okay.
Over the, I don't think I'd want to run the Druid into this straight away. Yeah, I like the idea of the kind of odd Rogue going for it.
All right, well, we'll see what Lojom decides to do. As we come back, it's going to be game number 3. Will Mooner be able to close out this series with a quick 3-0 sweep, or will Lojom be able to mount a comeback? We're going to find out. Mooner is currently up 2-0 versus Lojom. One more win, and he will be bringing the Wild Open title back home to China for the 2nd year in a row. He's just got to get a win with his personal favorite deck, and that is a spell damage Big Priest style of deck featuring Malagos and Prophet Velen, really similar to something that you would see in the standard format. Whereas Lojom has been really struggling with his aggro Druid deck. He needs to bring this back. And you were saying, Dane, that you don't think he's going to start that comeback with the Druid.
No, I think for him, he'd have a good chance with the odd rogue because there's so much potential to like snowball with damage in that. And yeah, I like that just to get a win on the board and just put him in like a better mindset. Because you can see on camera he's clearly a bit distressed at some top decks and stuff like that. So I think to settle his nerves, if I was him, I'd go for like a more like aggressive line with this deck.
Yeah, he's looked kind of tilted in both of his series that we've seen so far. Just really emotive when things go wrong. And I hope it's not getting to him, but it very well could be. The last few couple games have been really bad beats for him. So he's going to need to try to counter this Priest. Now, of course, he has to win with all three of his decks, so it does not matter which order he queues in. But for a lot of players, bringing that morale up, bringing their spirit up really does help them play at their best. So we're going to see here, does he want to queue up with the aggro Druid, the odd Rogue, or the odd Paladin to try to get a win against the Priest? Regardless, all three of these matchups can be pretty reasonable for the Priest. If you hit Barnes on 4, if you have, Shadow Essence into a Malagos or Velen with a Spirit Lash to heal back up to sometimes 30, it's sort of like a Reno Jackson effect at times. And you were right, Dane. Lojom is going to go with the Rogue first. He's going to get aggressive. Yeah, he, I think what it is Patches just really, really likes Lojom.
Yeah.
He just wants to hang out. And Lojom just keeps throwing him away, saying, get back in the deck.
Go
I'll
away.
call you when I'm ready. And then Patches gets kind of sad.
Oh. Well, this time he's actually decent. That's a decent curve out. I do fancy the... If I was Lojom, I'd just play the Pyre straight away. Just hit it.
Don't risk it.
Yeah.
Normally, I would... Oh, no. The risk. I would say normally you want to play the Dire Mole here. It's just better.
Yeah.
But with Lojom's streak, I don't know about that.
He's confident. I like it. I like it.
He's not letting the past define him.
Yeah.
Not letting it, change his future plays. And actually, Mooner's hand is really heavy. So, Lojom here could get pretty far ahead with the Hench Clan Thug. Immediately attacking means that it goes out of Shadow Word Pain range, and that's really important.
You know what, as well? I think the read on from Lojom is Spirit Lash. I think he deliberately wants to play around Spirit Lash for the first few turns. I mean, you can't play around it indefinitely, but I do like that style of play there. And again, typically, a lot of people make the mistake of attacking with your weapon straight away when you have Hench Clan in hand. It's always best, I think, to obviously hold the weapon so you have more options for playing cards after that. Yeah,
absolutely. He is going to re-dagger here. And now the Hench Clan is within range of Shadow Word Death. There is one copy in the deck for Mooner, but that doesn't really matter. Yeah. Lojom just wants to put on as much pressure as he possibly can, hit face for as much damage, and try to race the Shadow Essence, especially, from Mooner.
Okay, so yeah, getting rid of most of the tokens there. Still left with the Hench Clan, which is the most important minion for him right now. Just going to keep on snowballing that damage in.
Yeah, really important that the Hench Clan was able to survive here for Lojom, unless a bunch of the minions actually attacked into the Hench Clan Thug. It was very likely that it was going to live.
Yeah.
And this is looking like a Hench Clan Thug that might just solo Mooner.
Yeah, pretty under pressure. He can clear with double Lash and a Smite here. Clear the most important minion, I should say. It does, nets him a good chunk of HP back there. I think that was 8.
Well, he may be looking at stabilizing here, actually, with Psychic Scream going into Shadow Reaper Anduin.
Yeah.
Now he just needs maybe a greater healing potion, another piece of removal. He's going to grind this one out. This isn't a big priest deck where he can, just hit an Obsidian statue and resurrect it constantly and win the game simply because of that single minion. He's not playing that statue. He's got Malagos and Velen, which are a lot less effective.
Yeah, so he's got to rely on that early game kind of removal to carry him into that late game position. And he's been pretty fortunate so far with the double Spirit Lash and Smite, which has carried him into that position. And yeah, I guess Lojom not too happy with his top decks there. He didn't really want to see the Baku last turn. Well, you don't want to see that ever, do you, really?
No, although I don't think he's going to be too bad to coin into Baku next turn, honestly. Yeah. It's the biggest minion he has in his deck. It doesn't make it good, but if there isn't Shadow Reaper Anduin or Shadow Word Death on the other side, then maybe it hits for 7.
Oh yeah, unfortunately, straight after that, yeah, it's difficult though. I think he has to, because his hand's so reactive now to silences and to Valspines. It's just that if Mooner does have any of those cards, it's almost like a dead turn for him, apart from like the free damage that he managed to put in. So yeah, we should just see a straight, yeah. Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, he's not going to be able to access Lesser Heal anymore this game, but he does have a copy of Greater Healing Potion in the deck.
Yeah, is it just the one, I think?
Yeah, looks like it. He's played both Lashes already.
Yeah.
He can Visions for an additional Greater Healing Potion, maybe. But it is just the one copy. So maybe that's actually not terrible for Lojom. He forced out the Shadow Reaper Anduin, which means that his damage is much more likely to stick.
Yeah, and actually looking at Muna's hand now, his last kind of defensive card is the Psychic, which you don't really mind using on this type of board. And there's Barnes.
Yeah, would it have been so terrible to maybe Scream the Baku? No. The Anduin's just too clean.
Yeah, 5
As
armor.
much as Lesser Heal is super valuable, it's just too perfect.
And yeah, I like this, not choosing to use Barnes just yet, and just getting the pings for value there.
His Vile Spine Slayer is going to put in some work, clear up the Emperor Thaurissan.
Yep, and just re-weaponing there for the extra 1 damage going in, which is really relevant now because he really has to close this game out now before all these kind of resurrects and greater healing potions come into play.
Really importantly, the Thaurissan last turn means that Mooner can Scream and Barnes in the same turn.
Yeah.
So again, he doesn't have any taunts that he can pull from Barnes, no Lich King, no Statue. But if he pulls Yasharaj and then, you know, just has big stuff on the board, then he can just kill Lojom. He pulls Yasharaj into Yasharaj.
Oh. Yeah, was the only Velens left, I believe. Velens and Yasharaj.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. This is so... Yeah.
Lojom is so close. He does have...
He's got Leroy. Yeah, Leroy top deck there would have ended.
Yes. Leroy, next turn, will still end the game. But that is it.
I wonder what his reason is for not playing Hench. I guess it wouldn't matter
He
too
doesn't
much.
want the one attack Yasharaj to be able to trade off and be resurrected.
Gaia.
Because
yeah,
right now this is... Well, it's 2 turns either way.
Yeah. Current resurrect is only Emperor Thaurissan.
Yeah. It's a 2-turn clock no matter what, so
Yeah.
I guess it doesn't particularly matter. But that Hunch Clan wasn't ever connecting.
Let's see where it's down to.
It's
This is
the
down
rest
to
of the
this.
minions in his deck. So Leroy off the top ends the game. Dire Mole does not. And that means we have our Hearthstone Wild Open champion for 2019 with a 3-0 victory over Lojom. It is Mooner from China. What a dominant performance here in the final series that was. I mean, really impressive stuff from Mooner.
Yeah.
He brought a lineup that was unlike any other, far more hybridized than any of our full aggro lineups that the other players brought. But he got the job done with that special priest deck that only he brought, with the Mechathune Warlock that was really effective against aggro, the Warrior that was there in spirit as it was banned every single game because it's just so good against the field, and then of course that odd Paladin, which is really just consistent across the board. So very well done by him, and we had a chance to ask him some questions earlier.
We did, yeah. We got a few questions put to Muna, and yeah, a couple of them were like, what, you know, since playing Wild, because I believe Moon is a standard player, what card did he miss the most? And it was obviously Rag. It's gotta be Rag.
Everybody loves Rag.
Yeah. He's back in spirit almost, isn't he, for Mage with
Jan'alai the Dragonhawk.
Yeah. But yeah, I was so impressed with his lineup as well, because we asked him also, like, what did he use? How did he practice for this tournament, or how did he guess essentially?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think he suspected it would be kind of a control lineup that people are going to bring, but he was wrong about it. But
not quite.
Yeah, unbelievably though, his control busters, I would say, were so good against aggro that they just managed to quite convincingly carry him through.
Yeah, I did not expect it, but I think that's because Mechathune Warlock in Standard really loses hard to aggro.
Yeah.
But maybe in Wild it's just not the case, because you have Void Caller, because you have Sense Demon. It really changes that matchup, I think.
Yeah, I agree. It's sort of like the classic Demon Lock kind of thing, but it's a little bit more reliable. And then you've got like a secondary win condition against control decks, which typically would, maybe it'd be like a 50-50 matchup, but with that Mechathune, it's almost like pushing it into 100% without rats.
Yeah, and then we asked him, why did you bring this Mind Blast big priest when everybody else had just a conventional big priest. If anybody else even brought it, we had a couple of the non-Barnes priests.
Yeah, I think...
and I think he might have been the only big priest.
I think there was one big priest, but we didn't see it.
Maybe one other one.
I think, yeah. It was the first match.
Yeah, okay, from Trust. But, why bring this version when the other version is the version that you're going to see more in Wild? He said, it's simply my favorite. Even if it's not suitable for the ladder, I will insist on it.
Yeah.
So he brought the decks that he loved. He brought the decks that he played to climb the ladder and actually qualify for this tournament. So it was decks he was comfortable in. And I think we saw him pilot them very well.
Oh, I like that pun.
It was very good.
That's a good pun.
He's training to be a pilot, in case you didn't know. Yeah, just all across the board. Really solid play. Really interesting lineup that worked very well for him. So congratulations again to Mooner. He will be taking home $11,000 and, importantly, keeping the Wild Open title in China, because last year, I believe,